Hello everyone again, and welcome to the latest episode of Power Widgets Deep Dive. Today I'm excited to have on the show Betim Beja. Hi Betim, how are you doing?
Hello, hi Pervez. I'm good to be honest. It's very nice to see you again, finally,
Yeah,
because it's been some time.
it has been a long time. Thank you for agreeing to come on the show and share your insights. So the topic of the show today is your Albanian Solution Packager
Yeah.
tool for the XrmToolBox. Before we get into the full demo, could you just give us some insights into what it is, what inspired you to create it, and your journey in creating it, and then sharing it with the community as well, please?
Yes. So I will also share some of the code just for or the tool itself, just for it to be more meaningful while I talk about it.
Yeah.
So basically, the tool is a very simple tool. It's a UI for the solution packager that we get from Microsoft. So the idea when I created this tool was to help beginners into the ALM processes into the Power Platform. And one of the most important processes, at least at the time when I created this tool, was to unpack and to pack your solution zip files into a more meaningful, or let's say in a Git-friendly format. Even though it's XML files, it's not very Git-friendly, but it is version control friendly anyway. So obviously, I'm using the tool that you get from Microsoft, so the Solution Packager dot executable that you get from the core tools. I don't package the tool itself into my XrmToolBox tool. You can get that from NuGet, and you can just click in the settings of the tool. You can just go there and download it. Basically, you can change where your NuGet feed is. So if you are working in a firewalled environment and you don't have access to NuGet and you are not allowed to basically download it from there, you could also download the NuGet package locally in a folder and then put the folder into this NuGet feed. And this should be able to get the latest version available from that NuGet feed. This does get the latest NuGet version because it is there haven't been breaking changes basically on the tool. So this is just a UI
Yeah.
that helps you configure the
Yeah.
parameters to call the solution packager.
Yeah, great. So that's a nice intro, Betim. Thanks for that. So, for those who are new to the solution packager, if you read the current Microsoft documentation today, they say the preferred thing to do today, as it stands, is to use the pack CLI for
Yes.
doing unpacking and the repacking of the solution. So, how is the solution packager different to the pack CLI? Are there any different features, or is it all the same under the hood?
So in theory, it should be all the same under the hood. So the result that you get for a solution is the same. So the technology should be the same, even though like it's two different builds, and solution packager that you get from PackCLI is also available. So it's written in .NET Core, so it's also available in Unix systems, so Linux and Mac OS.
Right.
And this is only for Windows.
Right.
But the tool that I built is basically just a helper to call the core solution packager.txt
Right.
instead
Right.
of the PackCLI. It might be a very interesting addition to this tool to call PackCLI version instead of the solution packager.txt. But that needs to come like as an improvement asked by the community, basically, because I think I've already done what is necessary basically for a UI layer on top of solution packager.
Yeah.
Then it shouldn't be too much effort to just change the parameter mapping, because it's very similar. It's just the
yeah.
parameter names are different.
Yeah.
Now this is offering some minor features that are not available basically on the solution packager itself. And this was created in 2020, I think. So let me just check the. So this was created, yes, 6 years ago, April 18th, 2020.
Nice.
So it's a lot of time ago, and the latest version that I published is 2022, before I even got the MVP award.
Yeah.
Now, this is not abandoned, basically, just to reach the level of maturity because it's just a UI layer on top of the Microsoft package. One particular thing that, because like I try to do, every time I try to do something particular in my solutions or in my tools. So one particular thing that this has is you can change the language of the XrmToolBox tool to Italian or English. This was just like a proof of concept that I am able to do it. It doesn't have the full translation for everything, but it is doable, and it was just for as an example. I've done it in internal tools. Like I built a lot of XrmToolBox tools that were not published for the community, but were used internally by some of the companies that I have contracted for, basically.
Yeah. Right. So you've called the tool the Albanian Solution Packager. So what's the significance behind that? Is there any localization or anything of that nature going on in
there is no localization of Albanian because there is no localization of Albanian for most of the tools or for the Power Platform itself. But the Albanian Solution Packager is just because it was created in Albania, so it's the origin, made in Albania. I do a lot of tools and brand them as made in Albania because I'm the only contributor, or I'm the creator, basically.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That makes sense. I mean, this is great. It's right up my street, right? Because this is, for me, as you know, ALM is my thing, right? So this is the starting point of what ALM should be. And I love the fact that you are presenting this as a thing to lower the barrier to entry for implementing ALM, right? Because we've got a nice UI over the top of what would otherwise just a command line tool. So this is amazing. But yeah, if you want to walk us through the features in detail and show us all the inputs and outputs, etc., that'd be great.
Yes. So first off, I would like to switch a little bit to the code and just show, as I've already shown previously, like you can download the core tools you can download the core tools from the NuGet, or you can also download the solution directly from the CRM, which was a nice added feature compared to what we used to get in 2020.
Yeah.
And this is compatible with on-prem CRM as well, because it's using the SDK to connect.
So, so this would basically allow you to essentially combine two commands into one, right? So you're doing the export as well as the impact together.
Yes. Yeah. So it might be like a pack solution clone.
Yeah.
Command, but it was before we got that from Microsoft.
Yeah.
Now the thing why I'm sharing this part of the code is because I wanted to also show some extensions that I use when I create XrmToolBox tools. For example, to do the background worker, I have a particular solution. I'm not using the .NET Framework background worker class. I have implemented my own version because I can then have the parameters typed instead of using the object and doing the casting.
Yeah.
And this would help me basically with having the correct types of inputs and outputs. So I get a build time validation instead of runtime error.
Yeah.
And then I also have some extensions where I can also bind this background work to a view model, because I do MVC pattern in my tools, and that will basically update the status, so if it's working and if it finished work. And it also has an extension method to show a message, and you can see here it's doing the resources, so it's using the language for that I've configured.
Yeah.
And
sorry, so just to drill into that a bit more, so this is an important concept, right? Because the export of the solution could potentially take quite a while. So what you don't want to do for the user is block the UI whilst that is running, and that's why you have this background kind of process to do it in the background without having kind of user interface impact. Is that right?
Yes. Yes, correct. So I can click this button to refresh the list of solutions that I have available.
Mm-hmm.
I can select one solution. This is the list of solutions in my environment.
Yeah.
I can select the solution. I can select the way I want to export it, but this package type would basically guide that selection. So if I usually you want to do both. For package type, export as managed or unmanaged, doesn't matter because it will export both. When you do download the solution from organization, this solution path, you can specify where it needs to store the temporary solution that it is downloading. So I have, for example, here, Solution Packager demo. I want to store it here. And then the output folder for the solution, similarly to that, but I want to go a level deeper because it will delete and it will ask me if I want to delete or not. So there is some integration between what the CLI basically will ask, and it will show a pop-up. So I'm going to select the clobber to clean up unused files. I'm going to select the verbose. I could use a mapping file. I don't have one for this solution, but it's simple. You can just select this to specify a mapping file so that you can ignore some artifacts like JavaScript or plugin assemblies. And then you can specify a log file if you want to write the outputs somewhere. So the error logs and everything else. You could also specify a file with these arguments. So if you have like some arguments that you are using frequently, you can write them in a file and use this arguments parameter. You could choose the locale of your solution, and you can choose if you want to localize or not. So if you have multiple languages in your environments, you could also work with translations. And there is one feature here called Format XML that I've added as extra. It's just trying to put the attributes on new lines so that you wouldn't see the compacted XML for the solution file, but you would see every attribute in a new line. So whenever there are changes, you will see the lines only for the attribute that changed, instead of seeing like one big line with 100 attributes that have changed, and then understanding which columns basically on that attribute on that line have changed.
Yeah, and this is, I think this is quite an important feature, right? Because traditionally we've had the issue of a lot of noisy diffs coming out of the unpack process, because sometimes it's just a sequence of elements that change, as an example, and that's not necessarily significant from a change management perspective. So you don't want that to be included in the diff. So yeah, that's quite a neat feature.
Yes, and if you click extract, this is working basically asynchronously. So my tool is not blocked. I can go to the tool library or open my tool again. And these are blocked because I've frozen basically my instance here, just because I don't want the user to make mistakes and change parameters while the system is working. And then you can see the command line basically that this used. So you can copy this command line, for example, if you want to manually execute the same. Or if you want to copy this and put it in an Azure pipeline or GitHub Action or whatever, even though now we have PaxCLI basically, but this was the idea at the time. And then it will write all the output, like in a command line, you will see all the output here. I did notice while preparing for this demo that since I've used the same setup for the Albanian early bound tool, which is another XrmToolBox tool that does a similar thing, calls from the CRM, calls the CRM service util to generate early bounds types. I left the CRM service util in the logs.
Oh, okay.
Instead of saying this solution packager. But
so,
that's like minor mistakes that happen.
So I noticed on the left-hand side here, on all the inputs, you've got an entry point for every parameter that the solution packager allows, right?
Yes.
So does that mean there's potential for the tool to be affected by perhaps breaking changes that Microsoft might release? So say, for example, they release a new version of the solution packager and they've removed one of the input parameters. Hypothetically speaking, would that mean that the tool breaks effectively?
Yes. So it would break if something was removed from the parameters. Most of the time, what Microsoft does is add new parameters. And if it breaks while, so if it breaks where they remove some parameter, then you could just download an earlier version here. Now, this version doesn't allow you to download an earlier version, but you could download the NuGet file locally and then change this to your local directory.
Right.
And that would allow you to get the latest version. This is because it was the version 2. Okay. So if you can download an earlier version locally and then put that URL here in the NuGet feed, or we can just update the program itself, so the tool. If it was additions that you don't have here, you could temporarily basically use the arguments file where you can specify the missing arguments with this argument file, right? So it's not always a breaking change.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so I love how this maps nicely onto your classic DevOps process, right? So this is clearly on the side of the inner loop where a developer or maker has made the changes in the environment and they're ready to promote those essentially to a repository. So would that be the natural next step then? Because obviously they are running this on the local machines manually. So the idea is they're doing this against a repository that they've cloned, and then a feature branch that they've created effectively, so they can see the diff and then commit and then promote. Is that right?
Yes. So they will see the diff basically in the local. This is the path in my machine, basically, and then they could either just generate a solution file locally and then import it manually, or they can import it with this tool as well. So it also allows you to directly import the packaged file.
Okay.
So what this will give you is you'll give an input folder. So as I mentioned, it was this solution, and then you can say where to store the temporary solution that it's created. But since we are importing into a solution into the CRM, you could also leave this empty. It will use the temporary location. You can specify the type.
Yeah.
So this is unmanaged, unfortunately, because it's
Yeah.
my dev environment, and I'm just importing it to the same environment that I exported it from.
Sure. Sure.
You can specify the error level or leave default for this. This suppress banner is just to remove this banner here, like the version of the tool.
Yeah.
If you are doing the some type of automation with command line and piping the outputs basically to a file, you might want to not have the banner file. That's why that parameter exists. And you can specify log file and everything else as before. And then you have the, if you want to convert to manage, override unmanaged customizations. So all the flags that were available at the time. I didn't upgrade this to use the newer flags, but this is it. And then if you okay, it is telling me you need to specify where to store the zip file. So test. And then I thought this should be automatic. I think it's only when you download that it automatically stores it somewhere.
Yeah. Okay.
So specify.
Yeah.
And this is doing an asynchronous solution import.
Yeah.
So you have two parts of it. This is the import, which is the added value from the tool, which was not there. And this is the command that you can execute if you want to do this manually. So the action here changed to pack instead of unpack.
Yeah.
And this is basically now it's allows me to do other things because this is an asynchronous process happening. Yes, this is
nice.
Just checking that solution import. And I can also cancel that job, asynchronous job.
Yeah.
If I like. So this is pretty much all the features that this small tool has.
So I didn't realize that you've actually covering the outer loop here as well for deployment to target environments. So that's a feature I wasn't actually aware of. So in fact, this is a complete end-to-end DevOps client then essentially that your team can just use, and it totally does away with the team needing to learn features around in Azure DevOps or GitHub Actions as an example, because we've got a nice UI over the top of this.
Yes. And it's the idea was to give the UI so that you can configure it easily, but also show all the outputs of the command lines so that you get used to the command line as well, because at a certain point you need to switch to the command line, right, to configure the pipelines.
No, this is cool. So in a scenario where, say, for example, you've got multiple team members contributing to the same project, so each of them will be running this tool separately on their own machines, right? If they're all working on the same project, how would you structure it so that they still have the ability to resolve merge conflicts, as an example, or do stuff without treading on each other's toes, overwriting each other's changes, etc.?
Yes, so that is like a big problem that is not solved properly by Microsoft because we are not allowed to merge the solution XML files ourselves, except for some minor things that are documented. Everything else, in theory, shouldn't be done in the source, so in the unpacked solutions. And all merges should happen in a Power Platform environment.
Right.
But the process that we have used most of the time is we use like a merge environment where we deploy our unmanaged solutions, and we deploy the solution, the version that each one of us has, and export again to see the difference. So we use a merge environment basically instead of doing the merge in Git manually.
Yeah, so that means basically in that merge environment, people have to import unmanaged solutions, right? So that
Yes.
means there's potential for somebody's changes to be overwritten if they're working on the same object potentially.
Yes.
Yeah. So you have to
But
be very careful around that
you
and make sure that people talk to each other and mitigate against that issue.
Yes, so we just need to be careful on or be mindful of what is generated on the platform itself, so metadata for everything, and what is the source of truth is the Git or version control, like JavaScript files. So the content of a JavaScript file basically can be merged in Git. Like, doesn't make sense to consider what it is being merged on the platform, but the existence of that JavaScript file, so the metadata for that should be managed in the platform itself.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. So would you say this tool is targeted towards the kind of pro code audience or the kind of citizen developers, makers, functional consultant type audience, or could anyone use it and benefit from it?
Yeah, this is basically anyone could use it. It is targeted towards people that are just starting with their ALM processes and don't have scripts that they use most of the time. Because after you do the initial setup with the help of this tool, if you like, then most of the teams that I've worked with have some pre-configured scripts and they just execute those scripts basically, which already have the parameters configured there for their branch or their feature branch, let's say.
Okay, cool. Okay, nice. This is cool. I mean, so this is for the XrmToolBox. So I'm assuming you when you built it, you originally always targeted it for this particular framework, right? But obviously we now have the Power Platform Toolbox as well. Do you have any plans to transition to that platform as well?
So the plans are to transition for almost all the tools that I have, but considering the limitations, for example, this cannot transition like this, calling Solution Packager because it's Windows only. But it can transition into offering a CLI UI for the Pack CLI, basically.
Yeah.
So that is in the plans for future.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So if there's just gonna come back to that the other question around collaboration, right? So if there's multiple team members who are working in the same solution, I guess they are running an instance of this tool separately on their own machines, but each of them could potentially select a different set of options here, right?
Yes.
And that could result in a slightly different output. How do you make sure that they are always using the same set of settings and a kind of standardized format for the commands that they run so that the output can be consistent as well? Is that something that can be done?
Not with this tool, but as I mentioned, that's why in the teams that I worked with, like we use the tool just to set up the parameters, and then we wrote those parameters in a script, depending on the time, like it was a PowerShell script or just a bash script, or it depends. But we always had these as scripts. Obviously, the import part or the part that is specific to this, we had other ways to use. So we used the XrmCI framework from Hamza when we were on-prem, and then Pack CLI when we were targeting the cloud.
Yeah. Cool.
But so this is 2020, right? So
of course, yeah. So how have you found, because people often debate over, the value that applying DevOps principles in their purest form to Power Platform development projects because of the whole low code, no code thing. People often argue that, it's overkill or requires a lot of investment and a lot of learning in the team. So I'm guessing this can be a good way to perhaps lower the barrier to entry for that kind of audience. So how have you found the adoption of this tool? Has there been have you had quite a bit of feedback and engagement on the tool from the community?
Yes, so I've got a lot of positive feedback in private channels most of the time. That hasn't been on GitHub, for example, where it's the main place where the feedback should end most of the time. Obviously, like the GitHub should be used for raising issues, giving just positive feedback. It helped me with doing this. Like I didn't enable discussions because it wasn't necessary, but also like asking for features or improvements is you are highly encouraged to do it. I live into with these asks. Basically, I really love them because they are a great opportunity for me to improve as well. Right, when I get, and I feel it's better when community asks for changes because it also shows that the usage is very, very good. Like this has a lot of downloads on NuGet, so it is being used. And I've been in a lot of consulting work where after I joined, I figured out they were also using my tool, right? So it's, I have confirmed that they are using this.
Nice, yeah. No, this is really cool. And one of the main motives of this show is obviously to connect authors of these tools like yourself with the wider community, to increase the engagement and obviously inspire other people to create their own tools and make their own tools better as well. So that's great to know. So is this repository public so people can actually contribute in terms of code changes as well via pull request?
Yes, this is public. It has 3 forks. Right now, one of those forks is my personal account because I've published this into an organizational account, which is the open source community that I call the Albanian XRM. And it's where I publish most of the open source tools. There are a lot, I think 30 plus libraries that are open source there. PCF components, different MS build packages, for example. So just go there and explore what is available. I'm always doing like contributions that are very different from one another because I just want to see what's of interest for the community and just want to solve issues that bothered me from some time or from time to time. And when I solve them, I just share it with the whole community so that it can be useful to everyone.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. So slightly unrelated question. I noticed you've got releases there as well on the right-hand side, but this is an XrmToolBox tool that I'm assuming people just install from the tool library, right? So why would you need releases here?
So you might want to also download this manually and put it in your plugins. Like if you don't want to use the XrmToolBox store, depending on your company policies, you might be blocked from using the store, even though it's not like there is no actual threat into the store. I've been into some companies that blocked everything. Like it wasn't targeted to XrmToolBox. It was like they blocked everything that wasn't approved. So you were very, very limited on what you could do. So you can just download the prepackaged build from here. So you have the plugin zip and you just put it in your plugins folder in XrmToolBox and you get the tool and you can use it.
Cool.
That's why it has the releases here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You could do the same if you go to NuGet and download the NuGet package, but then it's double the work.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I've worked on some government projects before where they often put a lot of blockers in place to help us kind of build productively, and this is a nice way to potentially kind of work around some of that as well. All right, cool. I think sorry, Karen.
Just to show some numbers, right? So this package has been downloaded in total 34,000 times.
Nice. Is that unique downloads of unique users, or
yes? No,
yeah.
this is unique downloads, not unique users. So every download counts, I think.
Yeah,
And
okay.
you can also see like per version,
Yeah.
because there have been like different versions.
Yeah.
Like this version had the most number of downloads.
Yeah.
And I've had like very a lot of feedback initially with this, like from legends as well. Like you can see
Oh, nice.
Jonas Rapp
Jonas,
was
yeah.
the first that basically contributed to this, because he shared like an improvement idea.
Yeah.
And this was in 2021, so a year and a half almost before I even got the MVP award. So
Yeah. Nice.
this shows like why Jonas is a legend, because he was engaging with people from the community, even though like they were like lesser known into the
100%.
community, right?
Yeah, Jonas is definitely a legend. I had him on the show, the first episode. People can see, and will link to it as well. So in terms of documentation for the tool, then is it all within the repository? I've got wiki and readmes and stuff to tell
So
people
there
about how it
is
works.
a wiki, but it's very, very simple. The wiki basically was suggested by Lin, because he was doing a review of all the tools in XrmToolBox at the time, so in 2021, and he also opened an issue there and privately suggested maybe a wiki might be better for the users. So there is a wiki, which is something very hard most of the time for us developers, right? To create the documentation for our
100%,
tools.
yeah, definitely. And this is the reason why I had last week I had Rennie Modery showing us his Power Docu tool as well. So again, we'll link to that and let people know about that as well. All right, cool. Did you have any other nuggets to show us, Betim, or because I think we've covered the majority of the questions I had planned.
Yes. So yeah, this is just follow the work that I'm doing. I do try to be very active, basically come up with a new solution every 2-3 months. So just it's not always like a big solution, like an whole tool. Might be smaller things. For example, I think the last thing that I created was to create the images for now let me show it in the code, because this has the old version, the old implementation. So every tool in XrmToolBox needs some metadata, and you need to specify the images as base64 encoded definitions. Now the thing is, the suggestion is to use online services to do this encoding, but once you do it, you forget which image was there. And if you need to update things, you need to execute some online tool again, right? So what I've done basically was create where is it? Because I'm doing some other work here. So I created an MS Build extension that can generate this generate the base64 encoded images automatically without me going and using an online tool. And I have the images here.
Okay, cool.
So that I can see which image that was generated from.
Yeah.
And it's always like, it also shows like very readable in my code, instead of having like a huge string there.
Yeah.
And that's like it's done by this package called images base64 const for MS Build.
Right. Nice. So this
is open source as well, right? You can find that in the Albanian XRM organization.
Yeah, that's a separate tool that you built, and you've got a whole library of these things, right? So
Yeah.
I think this might justify another episode with you talking about some of these additional tools that you've got as well, if you're open to that, Betim. So that'd be good.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Where can people connect with you and learn from you and your amazing insights from? Where's generally your most activity in the
Yes.
virtual world?
So I am obviously active in GitHub.
Yeah.
So follow the work that I do there. Just go to my GitHub profile or the Albanian XRM one or my company one, because I also have the company organization Shkonline, which also has a lot of open source products. And then LinkedIn, of course.
Yeah.
And I'm active a lot on Discord. We have the Level Up channel on Discord, which is one of the forums that I follow the most, basically. So whenever I can help, I also try to answer to questions people have or suggest be active in the discussions, let's say.
Yeah, cool.
So these are the places where I am active the most.
Yeah, cool. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about what you're doing in your regional community as well, right? Because you're based in Albania, where things are really starting to kick off in the Power Platform space. So tell us a bit about what you've done there and how you've helped.
So it's been some years, probably since I started working with open source community. I also started organizing some user group meetings. And then I got awarded the MVP award in 2022. I have the 5-year disc as well.
Nice.
And then I organized in 2024 the first Albanian Power Platform Summit. You can see I purposely have the shirt as well.
Nice.
We organized it with Jordi Montana and Christian Fernandez. So it's been like the second edition of that was even bigger because it had like 11 MVPs participating as speakers. And then I'm doing these user group meetings. I haven't organized another summit again because lately there isn't too much community engagement locally. We've only been to other conferences around Europe.
Yeah, cool. Well, I hope you do run it again in the future at some point, because I need to get out there as well at some point and check out the amazing things that you're doing in that region. That'd be good.
Yeah, and you obviously are one of the people that I would like to have on the next one that we will organize.
Definitely. Let's keep in touch about that, and we'll sort something out. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Betim, again for sharing your insights with us, and we will we'll publish this and hopefully we'll get feedback from the community on this, and we'd love to have you on the show again in the future for another episode. Yes, and I hoping people will take benefit from this as well, and we'll really enjoy this. So thank you once again.
Thank you, Pervez, and thank you to everyone that is following us.
Thanks, Betim. Take care.